Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a slight problem down here. So for example, if in this particular section, if in the whole section here, this is one section, this is another section here. If I change, let's say, the video in this second lecture, and browse and select a video and hit save. The problem is that I replaced the second video, but let's see what happens. The first video is replaced and this one just disappears. So this is a problem here. Now the reason this is happening is because this information here in the inputs is sent in the post variable, while video files or any other files are sent in the files array instead. So there's a disconnect here. It doesn't know how to pair these properly. That's why we have this problem. So one solution we can use here is, so this is the part in the admin section where we are looping through the files loop. So I'm trying to figure out a solution here. Now if you go slightly above here, you will see that this is the part for lectures where we add the lecture name, the lecture description, and the file itself that already exists, not the new one, because the new ones are here. So since we have this spot where we are putting the old file, and it will match just fine, you know, if we don't put a new file, for example, on the top here where we didn't replace the files, everything seems to be honky-dory here. It saves just fine. So we can use this part to our advantage to know exactly how to match the keys and values. So we know that this lecture data files has the right key here, and these are just added on top of, they're just appended to the front of the array. So we can copy this format, and then what we can do now instead, we add also a value to our lectures data new files, because these are like the old files, these are the new files here, so we should add there. So what I want to do, instead of looping this from the outside, I want to loop it from within here. So every time we have a lecture part here, what we want to do is try to find in the files array if there's anything matching that description as well, which means a new file for this was created. And so instead of saving this, we'll save the new file there. But we don't want to replace this. We'll still use this part here. And that way, at least there'll be a gap or an empty where we are not supposed to replace. So what I want you to know is something like this. If we come back to here, let me explain a little bit. If I replace this file here, currently what's happening is if I replace this one file, it will assume this section only has one item, even though there are two items, because there's an old file here. So what it will do is it will replace this one at the beginning. So unless I put 2, then it will replace 2 because they are evenly matched. But what I want is that if, for example, I only replace this one should have some data, but this one should keep the old data there, or it should remain empty. So I think we can achieve that by looping within the loop here, instead of looping the for each from outside, because here it has no context of what's going on, but here it will have some kind of context to match with this. So let me just move this a little bit. Now once we add for a file, we loop through the files array as well to find a match for this. If there's a matching key, then we are good. So let me just move this a little bit from there. Okay. So I'm gonna use Shift Control and use the up arrow key to move things like so. Okay, then I'm gonna tab in like that. All right, so check for new video files, let's say that here. Okay, so this will be looped within the loop. Every time for each key that we loop through the post array, we loop through the entire files array every time. to check if there's something that is matching what we want. So here we want to match a very specific key. So there's a key over here. Now this is key and this is key, so this is bad practice. So here we have to change this one. We're going to call this one new key. So every reference to key here should be changed to that. Let me just make sure of that. Okay, so let's change that to new key. That way it doesn't override this one at the top. Okay, so with this file, we know that the key we have gathered, this is the file lecture thingy here, but the key is at the end for the curriculum, right? So now we need to match that curriculum key, which is this one here. So I'm going to grab this key here, and we're looking within the files array to see if anything has a matching key, and that key is right at the end here. So instead of this random number, we're just trying to match an actual key, which is this one there now. Now the problem here is this is a variable, right? I don't know if it's going to manage to note that. Let's see, if break match beginning blah 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 to the end. Okay, maybe I'll remove this $sign at the end. I don't know if it will recognize that this is a variable to be edited, but who knows. Let's check it out. We're gonna try it like that, right? So once that happens, the key $sign is part of the, I don't really know how to put variables within here. Do I have to put that there like so? I think I do. Yeah, I think I do have to do that. Okay, that makes sense. So there's a variable there, so that will be evaluated. And let's see, new key. Okay, so if there's a match there, then this is our guy. So then we do all the upload stuff in there, and then once we do the upload, we forget about the main key here because the main key is already here. We have to match this guy here. So I'm going to grab this key here, copy. Now what I want to do is leave an empty. So let me grab this first of all. I'm going to grab this and put it here. That way we are going to match the old with the new. Whether there's a file or not, we will leave it there. So there's an old file, there it is, that's fine. But if there's a new file, let's add it. If it's not there, let's just put an empty. So here I'm gonna put an empty like so. Okay, so there's a key. That way we are matching, we are going along with in lockstep there with the new and old. And then if we do find a file which is down here, then we replace this value with an actual file name, so which is down here. We replace that with key, and then we add that. I think that solves the problem entirely. So I don't need to even create these keys here. This is not useful anymore, so I'm gonna do that. This one should have a $sign there because it's key. So that they are equally matched. Okay, so this is good. I think this solves the problem right there, because if we go down here to where we're saving, we are checking for lecture new data if there is a file there which matches this part, yes. And if it's an empty, if empty file, then we add the old one. Okay, I think that solves the problem. So let's just see if things work as required. So back down here, I want to add a file here and see if it will leave the one on top alone. So let's hit save. Moment of truth, fingers crossed. Let's refresh and look at that. Very, very good. Logic is awesome. Okay, so now we can replace files as we need to. Let me just add a lecture here, down here. Let me just say more lectures. Another description. instead of more lectures, let me call it new lecture. I don't know why when I click here something happens. I should probably fix that. So if I click browse, the problem is I'm adding the same files over and over. I should probably add different files. These are quite large. Let's see this one. Okay, let me add that. Predator. So I'm adding a third one here. I don't want any of this replaced at the top here. Neither do I want this at the top. So in this section, there's a blank video, Paw Patrol, and Predator down here. So let me save just to confirm that things are working as intended. Adding a new one there. Okay. Let's go down and look at that. It actually works. Yeah? No, it doesn't work. Because it replaced this one and left new lectures by itself there. So something happened here, which is not good. So let me try one more time. If I browse on this one, let me add Paw Patrol again. Let's see if this time it'll get it right. No, it doesn't. So this is weird. But we are one step closer. So don't forget that we are one step closer. Let's see here, save. So just a little tweaking that is needed here, but we are almost there. Let's save. So this is all good, but nah, it just keeps coming to this point. Why is that? So regardless what I do here, it goes down there. Okay, so in order to understand what's going on, I will have to grab this variable. Where is that variable? This one, lectures, data, new files. I want to see what it contains before we save. So right about here, let's do a show of that data. Okay, so it should contain all the right ingredients. So here there are 3. Those are empty. I want to put this on the third one. So let's add one more here. More Paw Patrol. Let me save and let's see what we get. Okay, so there we go. We have one a lecture 1 which has empties. That's great. Then we have this one now. So this is weird because why do we have so many is the question. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is weird. Then this one is empty. This one has something. This one is, why do we have 5 and all of these have this? Okay, I think it has to do with looping through loops here is the problem, because it's being found every time, I guess. Why is it? There's a key there. Let me get back to the code here for a moment. I need to think about it. I'm almost there. So as it loops here, so it helps when figuring this out, it helps to think this thing through in step-by-step increments. So here when I'm looping through the post variable, I'm looping 1,000 times or many times, as many as there are inputs. And there's only once in a while when I get to the file lecture. Wait a minute. Yeah, file lecture is once in a while. Then I'll grab this key. So up to here, all this code is nominal. But up to here, we are starting to have issues. So this one has an empty. Let's see first of all. So there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why it's showing all of these. So if it never goes through here, what happens? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to see how many times it loops if there are no files. So let me save. That's like the base. So it loops 3 times, which is correct here. 2 on top, 3 at the bottom. So that's fine. Okay, makes sense. So it means, oh wait, I didn't take note of the indices there. I need that. So 0, 1, 2. Okay, so that's fine. Now let's figure out why something else happens when we do this. We click here. Let's add. Let me add even this one. Let's hit save. Okay, so now it all goes haywire. So it's supposed to be 0, 1, 2, but it's twice as much. So there's something weird going on here. This is the correct one, but these two are not. Okay, I think for now we'll leave it here for a moment. It's almost done. This is just a minor setback here. There's just something I'm missing here. I think in one of the loops we're supposed to ignore if we already have a value or something. So I just need to figure that out. We'll figure it out together in the next video.